serve as priests in his cult, cowing others with their power.
Seems like Agendaur could have written a whole lot more than just 7.
Perhaps, but creating something of this nature is not a matter of simple scribing. Considerable preparation and effort is involved. We have reason to hope there are no more than 7.
So there are 6 more of these accursed things. Maybe we can find them all.
That would be a great service to our cause. Should you recover them all, bring them to me, and I will ensure they are destroyed.
Why bring them back? I can burn up any I find the moment I get my hands on them.
You will find that works of this sort are not so easily destroyed. There are strong wards placed upon them that protect them from mundane harm. But I have the necessary skill to remove these wards. Should you gather the remaining scrolls, bring them to me, and I will see them destroyed.
You can count on that.
In the meantime, please accept this in appreciation for bringing this matter to my attention. Perhaps it will be of service to you in your travels.
One more thing. I found this book hidden away in the ruins of Fornost. It looks to be quite old.
Ah, now this is writing of an altogether more wholesome sort. This was not made by any minion of Sauron, but rather by the men of Arthedain, likely before the fall of Fornost.
Tell me about this realm of Arthedain.
All the lore,
Arthedain
baby.
was the last fragment of the great northern kingdom of Arnor. The heirs of Isildur ruled as kings of Arthedain until it too was destroyed by the enemy.
But according to the rangers at the Sarn Ford, the line of their kings did not end.
It is true Isildur's line has remained unbroken, but without a kingdom to rule, they have not claimed the title of king and have been known simply as chieftains of the Dunedain. It is our friend Aragorn who currently bears that title, although he will be the last to do so. Either he will become a king, or Isildur's line will come to an end with him.
So you think this book is a record from those days? You could be right, for we found it in a chamber that had been long sealed. Can you make out any of the writing?
Indeed. It seems to be a personal journal. And here is a name inscribed. M-A-L. Why, this appears to be a work of Malbeth, the seer of Arthedain.
Malbeth? Never heard of him.
Many of the Dunedain race are gifted with foresight, but none more than Malbeth. He predicted the final destruction of the kingdom of Arthedain, which befell exactly as he had foretold. I will examine this work carefully. Who knows what other visions are here recorded? It may be that we will find something of value to us in this time of trouble.
Not talking about the ring, Amra.
You
This is
did
a
well
scroll.
in bringing this to me. Take this in way of thanks.
Oh man, 2. Oh, 2 rewards.
Is there anything more you can tell me about this mission to the Ettenmoors?
Only that the Etten Moors are a dangerous place at the best of times. The danger will be that much greater if the orcs and trolls are being organized by an outside force. You and your friends will need to have your wits about you.
Who could raise such a muster?
Agendaur would be my first guess, but it could also be a strong orc chieftain, or perhaps an unusually cunning troll. At worst, one or more of the Nazgul may have made their way there, if any of their mounts survived the flood we unleashed upon them.
Whatever may be happening there, you will know of it. Farewell, Master Elrond.
Alright, 2 rewards. Health times 2. Our cost of skills is reduced 80%. Enemies hit with normal ranged shots are stunned. Enemies who strike the player are injured. Equal to 30% of player damage. efficiency, I think. Way to go. Dexterity, health, reflect damage, strength, will, armor. Go ahead and put that on. Boop. Nice. My armor is a solid 555. Gazer. Thank you, Mr. Elrond Halfvelden. Gandalf.
Ah, Farin. It is good of you to seek me out. You're a stout dwarf, like all of Durin's folk, and your courageous deeds have shown your worth.
What's Agandaur after? There are no mighty kingdoms to be found on this side of the Misty Mountains. What's Sauron afraid of here?
Sauron seeks dominion over all of Middle-earth. His desire is to order all things as he sees fit. Even were these lands empty from here to the sea, still he would seek to control them. There is power in Rivendell that could stand against him when all others fall, for a time. And this is something Sauron cannot allow.
I came all the way from the Lonely Mountain to help guard the Shire. Should I abandon what I set out to do?
You fulfilled your oath and protected the Shire when you were needed there, my good dwarf. Now
good
you're
dwarf.
needed more urgently elsewhere. With the flight of the ring in this direction, the enemy is looking this way and has forgotten the Shire for now. For now. But eventually his eye will turn once again toward the Shire. As humble as it is, hobbits as miserable slaves would please him far more than hobbits happy and free. And there is such a thing as malice and revenge. Sauron will leave the final devastation of the Shire to his servant Agandaur. And that is yet another reason why you must find him and put an end to his designs. In opposing Agandaur, you are defending the Shire.
We had one of the great eagles lend us a hand, Claw, at Fornost. Right handy he was too. I was thinking he might help us get rid of the ring.
I don't fault you for thinking along those lines. Why not beg a ride from an eagle, fly far out to the west, and drop the ring into the deepest part of the sea? Such ideas were debated at Elrond's council. But there are many things in the deep waters, and seas and lands may change. We cannot think of our time alone. We must destroy this thing forever.
This orc lover, Agandaur, do you know anything about him?
Though I know nothing of Agandaur himself, I have seen his kind at other times in distant lands. He is likely a black Númenórean, and a master of dark sorceries.
When we first spoke, you said you recently passed through the Ettenmoors. Can you tell me anything more of them?
It is a rough and empty land, home to many trolls. I passed through with great haste, for I needed to reach Rivendell as quickly as I could.
You said there was no sign of trolls.
I saw neither trolls nor fresh signs of them, and that disturbs me more than encountering one. I doubt they've all packed up and left. Mindless brute creatures they may be, yet they can be used and driven to even greater wickedness by a strong enough hand. Agandaur could well be forming them into an army.
Do you think he's mustering the trolls for an attack?
That is my fear. I would gladly be proven wrong, but my heart misgives me that somewhere in the Ettenmoors, you will find them gathering and being prepared for war. We must know. Such a force could be sent against Rivendell, perhaps in hopes of capturing the ring.
I'll get my friends and we'll head for the moors. If there's something to find, we'll find it.
Indubitably. Hello.
The sun shines and all is fair and peaceful here in Imladris. A far cry from the blood and dust of Fornost, is it not? You and your companions did very well there. Indeed, things might have gone badly for us had you not been there. You have earned some time to recover from the toils of battle and hard travel. And I believe you will find no place better for the restoration of body and spirit than this, our home.
What was it that brought you to Fornost?
We often ride far afield hunting the orcs, wherever we may find them. We came upon signs of a large band of goblins making their way from the orc hold of Mount Gram and followed their trail to Fornost, where we lost no time in attacking them.
Will you tell me more about your family? I know Elrond is your father.
Yes, it was he who established the refuge of Imladris. My brother and I have dwelt here all our lives. Our sister Arwen dwells here as well, although she has spent many years in the company of our grandmother.
You know, I don't remember the movies ever talking about these two.
And your mother, does she dwell here also?
Our mother has crossed the sea and left Middle-earth. It is a bitter tale to tell. Many years passed. On a journey across the Misty Mountains, our mother was captured by orcs. We searched the mountains without rest until we found her at last. Our father was able to heal her injuries, but the memory of her torment was too terrible for her to bear. At last she chose to depart for the Undying Lands. Perhaps now you understand why our hatred for the orcs is so great.
That's an awful tale to hear. I shouldn't have brought it up.
No, my friend. We have drawn swords together in the same cause. You have earned our trust. We do not wish to keep anything hidden from you. This is the evil that we have pledged our lives to destroy, just as you have.
I may need a few things before I'm ready to set out. Can anyone here help me with that?
If it is
This game
provisions
is
or
really
other
good.
supplies
It's my
you need,
favorite
you should speak
Lord of the
with
Rings,
Amari.
well, one of them.
And if your arms
Favorite
and
Lord of the
armor need
Rings
tending,
game.
seek out Angmar. Both of them may be found nearby.
I take it you often join forces with Aragorn.
Yes, we often venture forth in company with the Dunedain, and none more frequently than Aragorn. He was raised here in our household, after all.
Aragorn was raised here?
How is it that a man was raised here among elves?
It is a
I didn't know
tradition for
that.
the heirs of Isildur to be fostered in the House of Elrond. We have sheltered all the chieftains of the Dunedain from the time the Northern Kingdom ceased to be down to this present day. Aragorn is the 16th in line from father to son to spend his early years in Imladris. This is one reason why the bond between the elves and the Dunedain is so strong.
Farewell, and luck be with you.
By the way, voice actors for those two, who are brothers by the way, Liam O'Brien. Maybe because he'd learnt it just from being around elvish people? Are you supposed to know when they don't mention it that he was raised by elves?
Gimli, son of Glóin! This is a happy meeting. But what brings you to Rivendell? What has passed for good or ill since I left the mountain?
Aye, and it's good to see you again, kinsman. I've heard of your exploits at Sarnford and Fornost. They sing your praises here. After you left to aid in the protection of the Shire, the foul messenger from Mordor returned yet again with more threats. King Dain thought it best to seek advice from Elrond. He chose Glóin to speak for him. When my father set out, I refused to be left behind, as happened with Thorin's quest. You were there at
And
the
I've
Battle of
watched
the
each
Five
movie
Armies,
like a
while
dozen
I was left
times.
to cool my
Must have
heels
missed
at
it
the
every time.
hearthside. Well, not this time. I go with the hobbit Frodo and his chosen 9, even if one of them must be a wood elf.
I know little of hobbits. What think you of this Frodo with such a burden to bear?
I know that he's Bilbo's adopted heir, and that such great folk as Elrond and Gandalf regard him with honor. He's already come far with the ring, and endured the knives of those Nazgul. That's good enough for me. He's hereabouts somewhere if you wish to speak with him.
Who's this wood elf you spoke of? It's a long way from the forests of Mirkwood.
Legolas is his name, a fair-haired princeling and son to King Thranduil. Elrond has chosen him to represent the kindred of elves in Frodo's party. His purpose in Rivendell was to report that they'd let a prisoner escape. An easier escape than my father had when they held him in their dungeons.
Come, Gimli, that's an old grudge, and not even your own. The elves of Mirkwood fought and died alongside us in the Battle of Five Armies, and my new friend, Andriel, has saved my hide more than once.
Aye, true enough. For Frodo's sake, I must bear the company of Legolas and make the best of it. Perhaps he won't be entirely insufferable. And besides, we've enough to worry about as it is, what with this Agandaur skulking about in the north.
The Battle of Five Armies was long and terrible, and many valiant lives were lost. Glory's of little use to the dead.
You say it as one who has won a share of glory and lived to tell of it, and doubtless will do so again. Don't begrudge me this chance to show the worth of a dwarf against hopeless odds. But in truth, it's not for glory I take this road. It's for the sake of all who lie under the shadow of the enemy. It's Frodo who bears the true burden.
Ew.
You have the luck of it to bear the honor of the dwarves on that quest. When do you leave for the south?
We'll not be leaving until Elrond's scouts return. They've gone off in all directions in search of the Nazgul, in case any survive the flooding of the river. But they have eyes out for other dangers as well.
I volunteered for such a mission. My friends and I are to search the Etten Moors for signs of what this Agandaur may be planning.
Good, good. I don't like the sound of him. He reminds me too much of the Black Rider they sent to our doorstep demanding word of Bilbo. Well, don't delay, kinsman. The sooner the scouts return, the sooner my party can set out. The road to Mordor is long and grim, but I'll fulfill my oath, though all the orcs of Middle-earth stand in my way. Still, it would be better to have only the south to worry over, and not the north as well.
We killed an orc chieftain and drove Agandaur from his stronghold. What worries you about the north?
Before we left, we heard that Mordor was stirring up the Easterlings. But should they be foolish enough to move against King Brand of Dale, they'll find King Dane of Erebor standing fast at his side. But every step of the way here, we heard rumor of new gatherings of orcs and goblins and worse things. And though the fearful count every enemy twice, there may be some truth to it. You found such enemies at Fornost. When Sauron strikes, there will be more than one land that feels his wrath. I fear for the Shire and Rivendell, but my heart would rest more easily if I knew you kept watch over them. If Faron of the Lonely Mountain defends the north, then no enemy can prevail.
You don't ask much, but my friends and I will do what we can. If you can bear the honor of the dwarves on your quest, I can do no less here. You have my word on it.
Frodo Baggins. Egline.
Farin, my lad, by my beard, it's good to see you again. When you left Erebor to stand guard on the Shire, Gimli and I feared we might be seeing the last of you. Now I hear you stood with the Rangers in the battle against the Nazgul at Sarn Ford, and bested an orc chieftain at Fornost. Good work!
I can't take all the credit. I had Andriel, an elf of Rivendell, and the ranger, Erodan, at my back.
Reminds me of the old days when dwarves, elves, and men fought together in the Battle of the Five Armies.
He sounds kind of like he's a pirate. Remember when we fought at the Battle of the Five Armies? Arr.
Then I've your blessing being combined with an elf.
I will speak plainly. I may be less than fond of King Thranduil's wood elves for keeping me in their dungeons, but I've no grudge with any of Elrond's folk.
So I've heard you say many times. but the elves fought beside us when it mattered most.
You're right, of course. I can be a stiff-necked old dwarf, but it's time to set aside grievances that were long ago repaid. When dwarves, men, and elves fought together at Erebor, we overcame legions of foes. But we face a far more terrible enemy in the Dark Lord. Standing together against Agendar may be more than just a good idea. It may be our only hope to save the North.
Let's not leave out the Eagles. They've been a big help to us.
Well spoken. Thorin's quest and the Battle of Five Armies would have met disaster without the help of the Eagles. You're fortunate to have gained the friendship of such noble creatures. Your life may well depend upon your choice of friends, whatever kindred they be.
And besides, it wouldn't hurt to keep Sauron a little distracted. If we keep him second-guessing his plans for the conquest of the North, it could only help Frodo in the long run.
That's my thoughts upon the matter, too. Be the stinging fly in the ointment, as it were. Only this fly's sting will be deadly. And it's time to be about your business. Goodbye, and good luck to you.
Bye, Gloin. Frodo Baggins, how's that going?
Hello, you are Farin, aren't you? I was hoping I would get a chance to speak with you.
Hi, and you must be Frodo Baggins. Aragorn and Gandalf have told me all about you, and the burden you bear.
Likewise, they have told me all about you. I wanted to thank you and your friends for all you did to keep us safe on our journey to Rivendell.
Will you tell me about your journey here? Sounds as if it were a rough one.
We had trouble almost from the start. The Black Riders were always just behind us, and we nearly met disaster in the Burrow Downs, at Bree, and again at Weathertop.
We were at the Barrow Downs.
You came through the Barrow Downs? I won't soon forget that accursed place. You were lucky to come out alive. That's no place for hobbits to go a-wandering.
You seem to know a great deal about the Burrow Downs already. I'd prefer not to speak about what we found there. It is too horrible to dwell on, even here in the safety of Rivendell.
What happened to you in Bree? We must have just missed crossing paths there.
There were spies in Bree, and our room was attacked in the night. If Strider hadn't convinced us to sleep elsewhere, our journey would have ended then and there.
What happened at this place called Weathertop?
We were attacked by 5 of the Black Riders. I was foolish, and I put on the ring. One of them wounded me before Aragorn managed to drive them away. The knife that was used against me left a shard in the wound. From what Gandalf has told me, the fragment was working its way inward. If it had reached my heart, I would have become a wraith under the power of the Black Riders. Fortunately, we were able to reach Rivendell in time for Elrond's healing arts to save me.
It is a little thing, this ring, but filled with mischief. Will you show it to me?
No, I mean, I'm sorry, but Gandalf and Elrond have warned me against revealing the ring to anyone, even proven friends. I hope you understand.
I think I do begin to understand.
You will jump in.
I shouldn't have asked. Forgive me.
There is nothing to forgive. But the ring, it has a strange effect on everyone around it. It is better for it to remain hidden.
It truly is a heavy burden you bear, Frodo. I hope you find strength and wisdom on the long road ahead. Farewell.
Okay. Oh, the Bilbo Baggins. Hi.
Hello. Always happy to meet a dwarf. And one from the Lonely Mountain, if I'm not mistaken.
I am Farin of Erebor, and we've met before, Bilbo Baggins.
Have we now? Oh, I'm afraid I don't recall. You'll have to forgive me. I've grown somewhat forgetful lately.
We met upon your last visit to Erebor. I guess that was near 20 years ago now. And before that, I had the honor of sharing the field with you at the Battle of Five Armies. That was my first real taste of battle. I was hardly more than a lad at the time, but it was a glorious day.
Oh, yes, the Battle of the Five Armies. A nasty business, that. Personally, I'm glad those days are behind us. But then again, it seems as if they may not be. Everything seems to be pointing to some dark times ahead. Speaking of which, I'm told that you and your friends did a great deal to help my Frodo and the Dunedain reach Rivendell safely. You'll have to tell me all about it one of these days so I can write it down properly.
For sure.
This Frodo, he is your heir, but I had not heard that you had a son.
Oh no, he's not my son. Actually, he's my first cousin once removed. And also my second cousin once removed. Well, it's complicated, but we share a great-grandfather. The poor lad was orphaned at an early age, and so I adopted him. Made him my heir, all nice and legal, while simultaneously dashing the greedy hopes of my odious relations, the Sackville Baggins. He's a good lad, Frodo. I only wish he hadn't inherited my troubles along with my estate. I hope that Gandalf and the Dunedain will keep him safe in the days ahead.
The Dunedain? Who do you mean?
Why, Aragorn, of course. From the Elvish, Dun-Adan, Man of the West. Númenórean. Around here, Aragorn is often known simply as the Dunedain. A remarkable man, Aragorn, and a good friend. I almost wish that I could accompany him on his grand quest, but I'm far too old for adventures now. I only hope I will be spared long enough to write it all down.
Can you tell me how Frodo came to hold the Ring of Power?
Well, yes, that
His
was through
greedy
me,
ass.
I'm afraid. I found the ring by happenstance while lost beneath the roots of the Misty Mountains. I won it. That is to say, I took it from the creature Gollum. Of course, I did not know the full story of the ring until only a few days ago. I thought it was merely a magical bauble with the power to make the wearer invisible. I only used it to avoid unwelcome visitors. Imagine that old ring of mine causing such a fuss. I would gladly take charge of it again if that would help. Oh, yes. Gladly. Yes. You know, I think it would be best if we discussed something else.
Now you call Rivendell your home.
Well, the Shire will always be my home, I suppose. But this is the perfect place for so many things that I'm more than content to remain here. My days are mostly filled with my writing now.
What is it you write?
Oh, a little of this and a little of that. History, my past adventures, family trees. I've even begun a book of translations from the Elvish. Although lately I've been working on poetry mostly. Say, maybe you could help me with that. I'm writing a poem for Aragorn and I'm a bit stuck on a line or two.
Let's hear it.
Are you now? Well then, let me hear what you have.
Very well, very well. The verse that's giving me trouble runs like this. Ahem. The light from the west is rekindled. Forth from Imladris it springs. Renewed is the hope that has dwindled.
The light from the west is rekindled. Forth from Imladris it springs. Renewed is the hope that is dwindled. The scion of Westernese king.
The light from the west is rekindled. Forth from Imladris it springs. Renewed is the hope that has dwindled. The scion of Westernest kings.
Why, yes, yes, that's just the thing, isn't it? Oh, my friend, you should consider exchanging those weapons of yours for the poet's pen.
The enemy won't be stopped by poetry, I'm afraid.
Oh, I'm afraid you're right, but since these old hands are not much use with the sword, I'll just keep on with the pen. Though I'll need some help. Perhaps you could show this to the Lady Arwen. She has her people's gift with words, and this touches her deeply after all.